Hello everybody, this is the last video that I'm going to do for Inktober 2020. I thought I would just have all 31 drawings to show for you in the form of a tour. So let's get started. Really quick, I do want to just talk about some of the supplies that I use throughout the month. I started off the month using this pencil. I talked about in one of my videos. I just realized that 0.7 lead was a little bit too thick, so I found this pencil just laying around, and it's 0.5 lead, so I really preferred it when I switched to this one. Also, the weight of the pencil is a little bit better. This one's too light. This is a Pentel Twist Erase GT with 0.5 lead, and I ordered a couple more because I really like it. It's pretty simple. There's nothing really fancy about it other than I just realized that 0.5 lead was better for like all the little tiny details of the sketches. For pens, I usually started off with this one. This is a Unipin Fine Liner 0.1. It's really thin tipped and it's felt tipped. So I was able to have a lot of control for, like, I usually use it for the face or for small details that I wanted to have a lot of control over. So I love this. It's waterproof. Occasionally I would use the 0.5, which is more chunky, just for lines that I wanted to be a little thicker, but I didn't reach for it too much. This was probably my MVP for Inktober. It's just a cheap fountain pen that you can fill. It comes empty and you can put whatever ink you want in it. I got it from Stationery Pal, but I love it. I really love working with this pen, and I paired it with this ink. You can see I spilled on it, but it's Noodler's ink in black, and it's waterproof, and it's designed for fountain pen. So normally fountain pen ink is not waterproof because it clogs up the pen, but this one actually works really well. Occasionally I would reach for these, more this one. It's a brush nib, also waterproof. I just use it to fill in like small things that were supposed to be all black. For ink washes, so anytime I mixed ink with water to dilute it, I used Higgins Black Magic. After testing out all the inks that I have, this one was my favorite in a wash. However, when I wanted to do just all black, then I used the Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star Waterproof Into Ink. This one I find gives me a much more uniform pure black wash. Sometimes for some of the drawings I used my Winsor & Newton art masking fluid to block out parts of the drawing that I wanted to stay white. So for example, like these bubbles here. To apply it, a lot of the times, I have so many of these just like cheap brushes. You can tell I use this one for it because it really destroys the brush. But I also have this, which I used in one of the drawings, which is just a nib that you can use to apply the masking fluid. So I'll kind of switch back and forth between those. Most of the time I use Princeton brushes. They're my favorite. Ink isn't the best for watercolor brushes. It kind of destroys it, especially because I'm not always the best at cleaning the ink out of it. So you can already see that the end of this brush is like frailing. I ended up reaching for this one a lot for big washes. It's just a cheap brush that you could get, you know, at the craft store in like a big pack. And I think just because I wasn't worried about ruining it, and it just ended up being kind of an unexpected one that I used a lot. Okay, that's it for materials. Okay, so day one was fish, and this was the finished illustration. This is the Procreate sketch that it started out with. You can see stuck pretty closely to it. I did change up the face a little bit, which I ended up liking the stylization a little bit better. I liked this one. I think it was a good one to start with. The fish is super cute. I like her little mismatched socks. One thing that I wish I would have done differently is that I just feel like there's not that much contrast. I was really trying to push the dark spots in the background to make the fish and the girl kind of pop, but I worry that it just looks like too gray, everything. But overall, I was happy with how I started out the month. Day 2 was Wisp. You can see this was my original sketch for it, and I stuck with a very similar idea, but I just changed a few things up. I really love how the feathers turned out. They were really fun to draw. This was actually my first time using the fountain pen. I didn't use it in the first drawing, and you can already see that there's an improvement in the contrast because you can just get a little bit more of like darker lines and thicker lines compared to just using a fine liner. So yeah, I really liked how this one turned out. Day 3 was bulky. I went with a big bulky jacket. It's pretty simple, but I thought it turned out pretty cute. One thing about this one is I tried using the Noodler's fountain pen ink for the background, and you can see it turned out pretty streaky. That's when I learned not to use that ink for washes. Lesson learned for that for sure. So for radio, I went through a lot of different phases in the sketch. This was my original one. I wasn't crazy about it. Then I drew this one, which you'll see will make an appearance later on. I didn't use it for radio, but I did use it for a different prompt. So this was the final sketch that I did on the day of. I have my 2 little vintage radios and then just some kind of like radio related paraphernalia in the background. I did this last minute detail of like vines on the wallpaper, and I thought that was a nice touch. Day 5 was Blade. Again, I really liked the sketch that I'd done in Procreate, so I pretty much didn't stray too much from it. I don't know why, I just decided to leave her eyes white. I thought it kind of looked creepy, but I like this one. I think she's turned out super cute. Okay, day 6 was Rodent, and this one was a disappointment for me because I was obsessed with this Procreate sketch. I really thought that it was going to turn out good, but I was disappointed when I finally inked everything. Her eye turned out messed up, and it made the rest of her face, like the proportions, look really off, where here I feel like the proportions look good. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. I think this one was just a disappointment because I really loved the sketch and it didn't turn out that great. These are supposed to be like slices of wood. I don't know if that is super obvious, but anyway, the squirrel's still pretty cute, even though he doesn't stand out as much as I wanted him to. Day 7 was Fancy. So again, I stuck pretty closely to the original sketch. I did back out on doing a pattern on his pants and making it like a matching suit because it was just going to take too long, I think. It was definitely a good practice in anatomy for me. That was one thing that I wanted to work on this year, was drawing more full bodies head to toe. I guess right now I'm looking at it and I don't know if his foot is too high up on his leg, if it would look more natural on his knee, closer to his knee, but overall I think the anatomy was pretty good and it was a good practice. Day 8, the prompt was teeth, and this one actually is my least favorite that I did the whole month. This was all I had for the sketch. I don't know if it would have turned out better if I had done a close-up like this. I don't know what made me end up doing like her full upper body. It was turning out really boring, and so I added tattoo and like this rain cloud thing in the background, which this doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even look that good, and the tattoo just kind of feels like an afterthought. I just think this one's a mess. Day 9 was Throw, and this is an example of how a sketch can really change from the original Procreate to the paper. So it just wasn't looking quite right. I think I traced it like on a piece of scrap paper first in pencil and then kind of tweaked it from there. I think the blouse and the hat were really cute, and I'm glad that I cut her hair short. It ended up looking good. So this one's pretty simple, and again, I don't think it's the best example of contrast, but it turned out really cute, cuter than the original sketch. So that's a win. Okay, day 10 was hope. Again, I changed some things up, added a couple things. So I added cherry blossoms because it was kind of turning out plain, and I think that was like a cute little addition. I was thinking, the reason I drew this sketch with the bird in the cage is because I was thinking of Emily Dickinson poem, Hope is a Thing with Feathers. So I ended up adding a little part of the poem on the drawing, which was something that I was glad that I did. I think it added to it, and it was a nod to something that inspired me to draw this drawing. Day 11 was disgusting. So I was really stumped on this prompt until finally I thought about sardines and how they're something that are kind of universally thought of as gross. So I thought I would do, I don't know if it's a giant tin of sardines or a tiny person, but just her sitting on a tin of sardines and having a fish bone in her mouth. Again, this is a good practice to draw a head to toe full body sitting, and I think the anatomy of her body turned out good. I don't know if it actually looks like the fish bone is hanging from her mouth like I was going for, and then the background was just kind of supposed to look like pantry items. Day 12 was slippery. So you can see this was my original concept. It was just a very rough sketch of like a person sitting on a waterfall, but when the day came, I backed out because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to pull off like a realistic looking waterfall with all the rocks and everything. So I went back to the drawing board and I found this sketch of just a girl like leaning on her hands that I had already drawn before, and I just put her in a bathtub and thought I would add just some like little details like a plant and a glass of wine. I also did tape down the background to draw some stripes, but you can see that the ink leaked and ran a little bit. It didn't really ruin it, but it wasn't really what I was going for. This one was pretty relaxing to draw. I like drawing like cute little details and stuff. I like the curtain, how that came out. So, okay, day 13 was Dune. I really liked this. Ended up being one of my favorites. I fixed her face up a little bit and obviously added a lot more details to the hair and made it longer. And then with the dunes, just being able to like imply their shape without line art and just having like different shades of gray. I was nervous that it wasn't going to look like dunes, but then it ended up looking really good. So simple, but one of my favorites. Day 14 was armor. So this one, I went through a lot of different sketches and ideas. I think this was one of the first like kind of simple mock-ups I did of a sketch. I also did this one, loosely kind of inspired by Joan of Arc, but again, it just wasn't really what I was thinking of. This one is just awful. Again, just a mess. Finally, I did this sketch, which ended up being the one that I used. Yeah, I like how the armor turned out. It actually looks like metal a little bit, and then I wasn't crazy about this. I originally had planned to leave the circle white and do ink around it, but last minute changed my mind because I thought it would be more like contrast if I had like her white face and hair contrasting with the black. But yeah, I mean, after all of the different failed sketches I did, I was happy to have something that I kind of liked. Okay, day 15 was outpost, and I really did not know what I was going to draw for this one until I saw that a synonym for outpost, or a word that can be associated with outpost, is garrison, which is actually the pub from the show Peaky Blinders. While I was like waiting for one of my videos to upload, I just sketched this out in my sketchbook. You can see I did the pub on one page in my sketchbook and then the guy on another page, and then took pictures of them and combined them in Procreate. Yeah, so this one was a little bit different. In the end, I was glad I could find like kind of a creative way to interpret the prompt that still made sense and also give a nod to one of my favorite shows. Day 16 was rocket. So I really did not want to draw like an actual space rocket, and so I just drew a really cute girl. And the reason I did big sunglasses is because originally I kind of had the idea to do like a reflection of the night sky in her glasses, but they ended up being so small that I thought I would just do it in her hair instead. I kept the sunglasses because I was like, well, I already drew them. Don't feel like drawing eyes, even though they didn't make a lot of sense. But then in the end, I did this like simple sun in the background with like layering light wash and then a little bit darker and then a little bit darker. So it tied in with the sunglasses a little bit. And then I just used white gel pen. Oh, I guess I didn't talk about my gel pen. This is a white gel pen that I used throughout. It's a Uniball Signo, and it's really creamy and opaque. This is my favorite white gel pen to add details. Day 17 was storm. I had the idea to draw somebody like with a storm kind of looming in the background and an umbrella, and this is a sketch. It's pretty rough, and another example of how I can kind of like fine-tune a sketch in the pencil sketching version and then in the inking version, because I think the face and hair and everything looks a little bit better. I also really liked her outfit. I don't remember how I got the idea to draw this vest. Messed up the umbrella. I drew a line where it wasn't supposed to be a line, and the shape of it kind of turned out weird, but it's not super noticeable. This ended up being one of my favorites as well. Just think it turned out good, and there's a good amount of like things going on and details to make it pretty interesting. So yeah, I was happy with this one. Okay, day 18 was trap. So I knew that I wanted to draw Venus flytraps, but I didn't sketch them in Procreate. I waited until I was just sketching on the actual paper with pencil. The one thing that bugs me a little bit is that like I wasn't sure if the plant should be like in front of the box or behind the line. So you could see I kind of like what? I don't know what's that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, is the box, like how are the plants popping out of the box? Besides that little thing that bothers me, I really liked this one. I think her dress and shoes were really cute. Yeah, I think it's just cute. Okay, day 19 was Dizzy, which is actually a prompt repeat from last year. Anyway, I had the idea to do like the teacup ride at Disneyland or wherever, where you sit in the teacup and you spin it. Yeah, I mean, it was all right. Not my favorite. I do like the pattern I did on a jacket. It's really simple, but it turned out cute. And also the pattern on the teacup. I think this part is a mess. Oh my god, look at that. I guess I was trying to kind of make it look like it was spinning. Okay, day 20 was Coral. I had just drawn like a pretty rough sketch of a girl in a hijab, and I liked it, so I was like, I want to somehow find a way to include it in Inktober, and then I just thought I could draw coral all around her. I was looking at a lot of different reference pictures of different coral and just sketching them out with pencil. But I really liked this one. It's pretty simple, but also pretty cute. So yeah, this one was fun to draw. Okay, day 21 was Sleep. This was my original sketch. You know, honestly, this one is kind of a mess too. Just like how the character is so small compared to everything else, and everything else kind of just looks like blank. I think the composition is just a mess, and I don't know why I decided to do the bed frame in black. I don't think that looks good at all, but also everything else is just like boring gray. I think she herself is like pretty cute. I like her little eye mask thing. Also, this like Inktober, I realized I practiced drawing feet a little bit more, which is something I've never done pretty much, and I think they look, turned out okay. Day 22 was Chef. Again, this one was not my favorite. Originally, I wanted to do kind of like a sushi chef with like, they have really cool chef jackets. I didn't think I was going to be able to pull it off, so I just did a regular chef's coat. Her face is a mess. I don't know what's happening with her left arm and hand. Like, this hand looks all right, it makes sense, but this one is, and this, no, and I just didn't like it. I did like drawing the little details on the vegetables, and like the salt and pepper. I wish I would have drawn more. So yeah, that was that. Day 23 was Rip. This was my original sketch. The face and the hair were kind of like not working for me, and also the foot was like I didn't think it looked that great. So I cheated by covering her foot with part of the ripped paper and changed up her face and hair and made her shirt a little different. And then after I did all that, I thought it ended up looking really cute. And I was worried about this one that it was not going to turn out good. This like kind of ripped paper detail was a last minute decision. And I hope it looks like ripped paper because that's what I was going for, but I thought it was a good touch. Day 24 was Dig. So I had drawn this girl with the shovel like a while before I did the drawing. And I like her face. I don't know why I changed her face. I think it's pretty cute in the original. Yeah, I don't like really how it turned out here. Did some like flowers and grass and stuff, and it's just not that good. Day 25 was Buddy. This was like a pretty rough sketch, but I thought it was looking cute. And then I started inking it, and my fountain pen leaked right on her face. So I had to start over, and then instead of drawing with a pencil and then going over it with ink, I just went straight in with ink. And I think I suffered because of that, because the first time I drew it, the faces were cuter because I got to like kind of tweak them with the pencil and then go over it with ink. But, you know, that's okay. I still think this one was cute. I like their little outfits, and the pose turned out pretty good. Yeah, kind of an abstract background. I liked this like detail of the lines kind of framing the drawing. So even though this one was a big struggle, it turned out cute. Day 26 was Hide, and I don't like this one. I think the anatomy of like her mouth and chin is wonky, and it just kind of looks awkward. Like the way she's sitting, her posture feels awkward and not natural. I did like the little pattern that I did on the shirt though. I thought that was cute. So okay, day 27 was Music. So I was going through my Procreate library, and I saw this one that I'd done for radio, and I was like, that one's cute. I think I can, you know, make something of it. So yeah, I like it. I think the overalls are really cute, and my favorite part is the shading on the dreads. This is, I think, one of my best examples of contrast, just not being afraid to make dark lines and leave white spaces. So I thought this one was really cute. It's one of my favorites. Day 28 was Float. So I wanted to do somebody in water with lily pads. This one was okay. I think I could have made the lily pads look better. Her face, I think, looks better in the original sketch, at least the proportions. Also, I messed up her face. I was touching the wet ink, and then I accidentally touched her face. So before I posted on Instagram, I edited it out because I did not want to start over. But yeah, this one was okay. Day 29 was Shoes. So I wanted to draw some chunky sneakers. I just kind of did the Procreate sketch for the anatomy, and I knew that I would, you know, make the shoes look better in the actual drawing, which I just looked up like reference pictures of big chunky sneakers, and I added this like little abstract plant detail to kind of make it more interesting, and then taped off a little black border that I thought looked cute, and just having the shoe kind of like coming out of the background. Yeah, this one I really liked. Day 30 was Ominous. The original sketch, this was the original idea I had. Somebody looking at a shark, swimming around them. It's kind of cutesy. It's not that ominous, especially because compared to her, the shark looks like a baby. I was kind of thinking of using this one, but then It was my mom's birthday, and I kind of thought I would do something that I could give to her as like a little birthday gift. So if you watch my process video for this one, I explain the story, but basically this was a quote that my mom used to say when she was a kid, because she was born the night before Halloween. So she would say she was born the night before the witches come out. So I thought I would draw a cute witch, made the hat covering part of her face, which added to the ominous feel. And I like how her hair goes all the way down and is really long, and the cute little flowers. Yeah, so my mom really liked it, and she's gonna get it framed. So this one was definitely one of my favorites too. Okay, finally, day 31 was crawl. So I wanted to draw a creepy crawly spider. I think this one turned out pretty good. The one thing that I regret is the pattern on the shirt. It's not too bad in the final piece, but as I was doing it, I was like, I'm ruining this, this is awful. I was rushing. That was the biggest problem. But I like how the spider came out. And then last minute, I decided to do a spider web with white gel pen, and I thought that was a nice touch. So, and I was just happy to be done. Well, that's my Inktober for 2020. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye!